who does she work for? Because his mom told him that I stayed in Rome, and so everybody's working for somebody. Daddy works for somebody, and uncle, and so on. So who does Sister Frances work for? And the mother says, oh, well, she works for God. And the little boy became very silent, and he said, I have a question for her when she comes. And that's it. Now, in a few days, the mother became a little bit curious to know what his question was. And she tried to coax him, and he said, I will ask Sister Frances when she comes my question. And so they were all just as anxious to get there as I was, you know. And I had hardly stepped into the house when the little boy, because he had to be first. And so the mother put him on a little high chair, and you know, we all sat down, the rest of the family, and the mother says, you can ask, no, she said, he has a special question to ask you, and she says, you can ask the question. And that little boy pulled up and he said, Sister Frances, what is God made of? That was his question. What is God made of? Well, God is made of everything that's happened here tonight. So then I told him, I was stumped by that question. I thought he would ask me, did you fly or did you, and so on. Yeah. So I said, well, you know, at night when your mommy washes you and puts you to bed, she does this because she loves you with a lot of love. And when she covers you, and you really feel that love. And he kept going like this, you know, and this is, God is like that. He's full of love. End of discussion, and everybody was very happy about that. I just want to, you know, I just want to thank you so much. I just don't recognize what's been happening except through the eyes of God. Your love, my love for you, all the love of a Christian community. You know, there's family here, there's friends here, there's people with whom I've worked, there are great executives here, there are people that made things happy, and we certainly are most blessed to have our clergy here, our metropolitan, and the priests that are here. And so my gratitude really goes to God, and I thank Metropolitan for your liturgy and for your words and your co-consecrators here tonight. And then when I look at my family, you know, I know some of you were a little bit not quite as tall when I first met you, but that doesn't matter. I don't think your personality was totally there. Your love was totally there. It just needed more room, and so you had to grow to make room for it. And I just thank the family. It's so important to recognize and to venerate and almost to worship your family, your life, your family, you know. Now, family, there comes a certain time in life when you want to trace your origins. And you know, when I was growing up, I really thought everybody, I knew they came from Ukraine. And I was sure that everybody moved out from there because there were so many of them in Saskatchewan, around Yorkton. And then as I became a sister and got to travel, I got to the beautiful country of Ukraine, found out a lot of things about Ukraine, and then I knew that they came from Ukraine. So in 1995, I had a chance to visit my ancestral home in Ukraine. And they live in the Sela, a village, the very, very last one by the Carpathian Mountains. It's called Litziuka. Carpathian, usually Sela had a big road, one big road. Here their houses were all over the mountain, and that's where my family came from. Now, when I came there, I was still skeptical, and I was sure that there were no family names like ours, because they all had moved to Canada. So we came up, there was a farm gate, and there was a 1 on it, and I thought, well, I guess you start with 1. Well, a gentleman saw these 2 nuns at the gate, and so he came up, and I thought, oh, he looks like my Uncle John looked, my mother's brother, with fantasy. Oh. So, I had a tape recorder to take back to my family, and I came up to him and I said, where it came from, someone, and I said, my family name is Byblow. My mother's name was Shumei. No. He looked at me, he came forward, embraced me, and you know what he said? My name is Alexis Shumei, and my mother is a Byblow. So we went to the house, we had chicken soup, I just remember that chicken soup so well, and we talked. And he was, of course, they were both relations to me and so on, He was also, this village was the last of the Carpathian Mountains. Now, in our history, that we've always been struggling for freedom. And there was the UPA, Ukrainska Повстанська Armia, the Ukrainian Insurgent Army. That's where they were hiding in that village, in that Sela. And when they were found, the Sela was burnt. Now this relative of mine, suddenly he became very silent, and he said, my 5 older brothers were all in that army and they all died. I was too young to enlist. You can just imagine what was going on in my heart. This is family. Family sentiments are always deep, very deep. So, and I said, are the other names there, like Stefanesh and Popovich, Kuchar? He said, they're all here. On Sunday, it happened to be a Sunday where they had service. So we went to church, and the church was packed. By that time, news got around that, this descendant of our people. And by the way, my parents came to Canada in 1907. My mother was 9 years old when she came to Canada. And anyway, so in church, all kinds of emotions. And finally the priest takes the gospel and he comes to me, this is after the liturgy, and he opens it up and he says, I want you to write a message on this introductory page so that we can have it as a legacy of the strength, the strength of the values of family. And so I wrote them a little, usual message there, and it's there. So family, I'm just so delighted, you've come from far and wide. But you're all in my heart. I don't know, can you see how big my heart is? And I know that every one of your hearts is full of love too. So I just want to thank you I just want to thank you for your effort and for your love that brought you here. And you know that what my biggest gift today is? The family reunion. The close family reunion and the reunion of all people here, you know. When Jack Kissel was speaking, I thought of something that just really hit me. When he was administrator here, I sat in many of their board meetings, you know. And as usual, the men are very clever business-wise, and so they would talk all kinds of things. You know what Jack would do? Thank you, Jack. He would tap the shoulder of the person next to him, and when they got talking, and he would say, but remember, what about the residents? How will that affect them? I heard that 100 times. What about the residents? How will that affect them? And then everything came down. And that is why we're able to be on our third expansion of Holy Family, because of sentiments like this that you have given us, shared with us, we strengthen each other, and that's how things go. And I would really just like to encourage myself, my own community. In today's world, the values are very, I don't know what word to use even, you know, they're dissipated. And so it's very important to think of those values all the time. And I certainly see all of that here, you know, just every bit. There's much more in my heart. There's all kinds of stories and so on. But I think we've had a very interesting evening. We had beautiful service, beautiful in our chapel. I just want you to know that every day we pray for our missions and for the people that are involved with us. And there are very many around the world. I don't know where Christine got all that chronicle stuff, you know, but it is true. And the reason why I was so busy is because I was able to see the needs. I was there. I was there. I saw what they had and what they didn't have. And it wasn't hard to ask for them. And so I just want to thank you again for this. You know, it's been 75 years, but they were one day at a time, as everybody's is. It's different looking back on years, and it was maybe more exciting looking ahead into the years that were coming, you know. And I would like to encourage the younger, we're all young, but some are younger than the young, to really know that you have great power. I don't care what you're doing. That's not the important thing. But the important thing is to be doing something that'll help somebody else. Yeah. Is there anything else that I have missed out? Just want to thank just everybody here. You know, we've just had a beautiful, beautiful day yesterday and a beautiful day today. Last night we celebrated with the sisters and so on. Today we celebrate with all of you, and just keep our sisters in your prayers, and we just so much appreciate all this cooperation, you know, yeah. And family, when you get back to home, you have your children there, just hug them and embrace them and give them a nice chum-chum, as they say in Ukrainian. You know by now what that means. Kiss, kiss. Okay. As a teacher, and this is all that I ever wanted to be, by the way, when I was coming to growing up, I wanted to be just a plain classroom teacher. Circumstances were different, and so I was a bit of everything, And I did sweep my own bedroom too, so that was part of living, And so I thank you just once more, and I will pray for you. I'm very happy being here in Winnipeg. Somebody said I still am busy. Well, you have to work for your room and board. Maybe literally that's true. Otherwise you'd have to have a lot of servants. And I thank you for this beautiful hair, that whoever prepared this whole. Sister Darlene, thank you so much, and for your crew and for just everybody. I come from a family of 12 children. My oldest sister died in the Spanish flu. That's a long time ago. She was 4 years old. The first grief from my parents. I had 2 other young siblings that died. There were 3 of us in religious life. There were 2 of us, Sister McTill, some of you know, and myself and Father Demetrius is a Redemptorist. Sometimes we get technical. I had a cousin who was a Basilian priest, Father Sankyu, and I had a priest who was diocesan, Father Shumei, so just spread all over. That's the way God chose them, And then the rest of them brought together these beautiful families. And there's Donna over here. God wanted them to look for a child beyond their house. And they found this beautiful little 4-month girl in Regina. And my brother held her in his arms the whole bus trip from Regina to Yorkton. And today, though she's here with her 2 daughters, so all kinds of graces though. I like to write things. I haven't yet written a book because I wouldn't know when to stop. But I think I should know when to stop in today's evening, and I just want you to, as a good teacher, they always said, are there any questions? But I don't know if that's permitted by my principal here. All right, so may God bless you in our prayers. She's distracting me just like a good principal. She wants me not to forget that I brought something for you, and I might have forgotten. 93, did I say 93? 94 next year. Yeah. Okay. I have a little envelope for you, and I have a Yosefata rosary. Everybody gets the envelope. There's only 1 rosary for each family. But I would like you to just accept that. That's a Yosefata rosary, by the way. I'm glad that the sister mentioned about my adventure with Yosefata. I just carried her like this. And we were hosting a doctor from Ukraine, and we took him to a hospital in Rome where the sisters had their foundress, and he said to us, and where is yours? And we said, in this abandoned cemetery in Ukraine. And he said, I will get her for you. He said he couldn't sleep for 2 weeks for saying those words. How was he going to go to communist Ukraine? But if you get that booklet someday, it tells you how he supervised the digging of the and he you use their language. He said, she was the sister of my mother, and I promised my mother that she who died, then bring her sister over and bury her by her. Well, that wasn't true, but it's the only way he had to do it, you know. And then when I took him, then when we didn't know how to get her out of Poland to Rome, it was all communist. But one day we just said, let's go. I said to the gentleman, let's go. And so we got to the airport, and I said, you know, these are the remains of a very important sister. We want them back in Rome with us. And she stamped my document, you know. And when they x-rayed it, I could see the bones, and I had this in a big, sisters had sewn a cover. It looked like luggage, but it was really a metal container. And as I was young at the time, by the way. I don't know if I'd be brave enough then, but I sat at this in the waiting room in the Warsaw airport, and I said to myself, you don't know what I have in my luggage. And when we arrived at the Rome airport, you know, there were 24 sisters came to the airport. There was one very old one. She had long roses this long, and they all rushed at me, you know, and the reporters rushed at. But you know, the reporters, they're wondering, they're not doing anything for me. They're all squatting around my knees, you know. So they left us in peace, you know. Okay. So that was, and now when I pray to you, I feel very close to you, Safata. I pray to her this special prayer that's uniquely my own. I say like this, I carried you out of the communist country to Rome. Now you carry my prayers and the prayers of everybody to heaven. With a promise that you will be remembered to you, Zapata, too, and remembered for a lot of things. I just want to invoke the Lord's blessing on your life. And I always, one of my best loved mottos is, do the best you can. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, sisters, fathers, Monsignor, he's gone already, and your grace. Thank you. And keep this, I was going to say little old lady, in your prayers. Okay, thank you very much.
Sister Frances, thank you for